Hey, what's going on, guys? Reckless Rish here, and we're back with our next installment of Space Engineer Survival. We've made some progress since touching down on planet, so let's take a look at what we've done so far, and let's see if we can figure out what we're going to do about keeping our station powered. Alright, so I'm doing my commentary post-editing. It just made things run a little bit smoother in the final cut. My first priority on planet is establishing a solid power supply. So the lander does come with enough materials to build a minuscule solar array. It's not going to do anything long term, but I do like using solar panels and batteries as a supplementary or a backup system to reactors. Right now I don't need the solar panels and batteries to last us for the rest of the time that we're on planet. I just need them to get us by. So one of the things that I did when I landed was I paid attention to the position of my shadows or the orientation of the sun, whatever it is that you want to look at it. And I didn't get a perfect alignment, but I tried to position myself so that if I built solar panels vertically or straight up off of the lander, then that I would maximize the amount of energy being stored. Alright, so I've got the solar panels knocked out of the way and I went ahead and got started on a foundation for my base. So I'm just removing a few of the components that's going to help make things a little bit easier. I started building the initial part of a frame for a hangar, and my plan is to use merge blocks to combine the lander and the hangar into one station. I like doing it like this because I don't have to set up a refinery or a conveyor system. I've already got something in place, and this will help me get going. The additional perk is I'll also have power to my entire station once I have uranium. One thing to keep in mind if you're going to use this technique to attach your lander to a hangar is to make sure that you have enough clearance to the left, right, forward, and back of the merge block. In my case, I had to remove two of the small thrusters left and right underneath the lander to make sure I had good clearance forward and back. One minor issue that I had is while I was putting the lander into its final position, the merge blocks turned yellow, indicating that they had a good magnetic pull, but it wasn't settling. It turned out that one of my large atmospheric thrusters, the one on the right, would have been occupying the same square or block as one of the ramps that I was using for my support system, the scaffolding. So I just went ahead and removed that block, and we had a good connection all the way around. So I really am happy with this location. The view is absolutely beautiful. The sun is coming up and we are going into our first full day since landing. You can see I've finished a large portion of the hangar. Still got to put up some walls on the side. I've got a little extension going out on the right hand side there. Still not 100% sure what I'm going to do with that, but I'm sure we'll figure out something soon. So it's time to start thinking about long-term sustainment in terms of power. And if you remember during the last episode, on our way in we were fortunate enough to find a uranium deposit nearby. So I went ahead and welded up this portion of the hangar so that we could start building our first small ship. So if you remember during initial entry when we were marking all these ore locations, I noticed that the surface of the planet looked pretty rough and unforgiving in the areas where a lot of the ore was, and that's when I ruled out building a wheel-based vehicle. And that's what brings us to this little hopper that I built right here. While I could have built something a lot more basic, this thing is going to do some heavy lifting and it's going to last me a really long time. Alright, so I threw together a skeleton replica of the hopper just so you can see really how basic and not very exciting it is. Symmetry mode is disabled in survival, but I built this ship using the symmetry principle. So everything that is on one side is also on the other. I did, however, leave the left side of it open just so you can see. So right there in the front, you notice that I had a air intake. That way we can get oxygen into the cockpit. And I've placed a remote block right behind the cockpit. Yes, I am aware that this one is oriented the wrong way, but it's fine on the regular ship. There's also an antenna and a gyroscope right behind it. We've got the first large container, a small container with a small thruster on top and on the bottom, another large container with our 3 thrusters to the rear, and we've also got 2 more large thrusters on this side, as well as a battery that's attached around the outside, 2 thrusters facing forward, And if you look right in between the thruster and the body of the ship, I've squeezed in another battery. It should be noted though that for this hopper, I had to take apart one of the windows on the lander, recycled it for silicon so that I could build a couple of displays for the cockpit as well as the secondary cargo container. After she was built, I slapped a connector on the bottom, threw one on the floor as well, and I let her sit for about 25 to 30 minutes before taking her out on her maiden voyage. Alright, looks like we're coming up on the uranium position now. This thing's flying pretty good, but unfortunately it sucked out most of the power that the base had left, so looks like we're not leaving this site unless I've got a decent amount of uranium.
Ship fuel low.
Alright, let's get mining. My hand drill can't detect the uranium, but it does see the magnesium, so we're going to go ahead and head for that first. Alright, looks like we found some magnesium. I'm going to go ahead and carve out a large room so I can see exactly what we're dealing with. So I'm going to create a GPS point for the center of this magnesium hole, and then I'm going to drill toward the silicon and create another GPS point once I hit the silicon. Then I'll go above surface, I'll line these two up, and that'll actually enable me to drill in a straight line connecting the two tunnels. Once I've done that, I'll be able to use these two GPS points to orientate myself toward the uranium using the ore detector on the hopper. In relation to the ship, we have the magnesium hull at the front, and then the silicon tunnel toward the back end of the ship, right there in the middle. And then straight off to the left, we have the uranium. So I know once I go back down into my tunnel, if I stand in between those two, magnesium to my right, tunnel to my left, I should be able to drill straight forward until the uranium pops up on my hand drill. And there we've got it. Uranium works like a charm. Alright, so I'm just going to hollow out a big room like I did with the magnesium and get to work on mining. And it's time to head back and get this uranium processed so we can have consistent power on the base. Unfortunately, I was an idiot and not only turned off my beacon, but failed to create a GPS point for the base. So I'm just gonna lower myself behind this bush, catch some Z's, and wait till daybreak. And that's gonna wrap it up for this episode. Thanks for watching. Please hit the like button and subscribe. They both would really help me out a lot. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you thought of the video and what you'd like to see in the future. Thanks for hanging out. See you next time.